Two of the world's very best players are facing off against each other in a best-of-3 series. Now, of course, these games are played on the New Balance patch. We actually find ourselves on new maps as well, and we're starting off on one that I have not seen a game on just yet. At least I don't believe so. So, spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of a map called Ruby Rock. Playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than Classic. Of course, the runner-up when it comes to the World Championships this year, an absolute monster, widely considered to be the #1 Protoss player on the planet right now. His opponent down in the bottom right, playing with the blue Zerg pieces. He's from Italy, and he goes by the name of Reynor. Reynor has been looking really good over the last few months yet again. He started off 2025, not in the best of shapes. I know he was playing a lot of League of Legends at the time. I guess that's what happens, you know. If you have a friend who plays League of Legends, maybe warn them for it, okay? Maybe call them every once in a while to see if they're doing okay. In my experience, they're probably not, because they're playing League of Legends. Anyway, it's going to be a gateway right over here on the low ground. Cybercore will go right over here. Right over here, I think. Probably. And if I were to make a guess, Classic is going to be opening up good old Stargate. Now, there are some changes, of course, made to the balance patch to Protoss as well. I wonder if any of it is too applicable for his playstyle. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Storm is very different. Oh, I was wrong. Storm is very different. Obviously, Colossi are quite a bit nicer now. One of the big problems we've seen Protoss deal with so far is not the new Microbial Shroud, although I think it has a lot of potential. Not, for example, the new Brood Lord, which I also think has a lot of potential against Protoss, but the 5 additional HP on the Baneling. It's something that most people read in the patch notes and are like, okay, yep, that's nice. 5 HP on the Baneling, whatever. But it means that you can live through Psystorm and just general damage a whole lot easier as a Zerg. And Reynor certainly has been enjoying that style quite a bit. He's been back to, for example, like we used to see a Ravager Ling Bane a lot back in the day. Stargate opener here for Classic. But we used to see a Ravager Ling Bane a lot for Zerg back in the day, and that's sort of, I mean, we still see it every once in a while, but it's not nearly as popular. I think it is very likely we're going to see it more and more, and it's one of those very powerful mid to like early late game pushes. Like they do fall off at some point, but you can really notice that Banelings just simply last a little bit longer now. They used to be forced to transition away from them, especially with like lurkers coming out. You kind of needed something else. But now you can stay on Banelings for quite a bit longer. Alright. Oracle, I would imagine. Yep. Oracle indeed will be coming up. Keep in mind, energy recharge is nerfed, meaning that Oracle openers are therefore also slightly weaker. I would imagine we're still going to be going for the recharge on the Oracle regardless, because more energy is still nice. But you do have to make more of a consideration right now as the Protoss player. Do you want to go for Chrono boosts, which seems to be the case so far? Yeah, he's actually using an extra Chrono right over there on the Stargate. Or do you want to go for the energy recharge? And look at that, Classic actually just straight up sending the first one, not getting the energy boost on it just yet. Actually, on the previous patch, for the patch that we've been playing for the last 10 months, you can quite literally never run out of Pulsar Beam on the Oracle. Like, as long as you keep recharging it on cooldown, you would never run out of energy. And right now, you certainly will. Maybe that would allow, I don't know, sort of, for example, like mid-game timing attacks for Zerg. A little bit more viability yet again. Because Oracle openers, in general, used to shut it down very, very hard. Twilight Council right now, though, on the back of this. Probably a Forge in just a moment as well. In the meantime, Reynor really just trying to stay alive. Bad. Really bad. Although he does keep it around, and he is going to be able to force a second Spore Crawler. You know what? It's flimsy. It's dangerous. But not quite the end of the world here. That was looking like an absolute disaster when Classic first swooped in with those units. Learning the map is going to be a big part of it. For now, though, the Oracles will stay alive, and we're going to follow it up with the good old Adept Aggression as well. Oracles are going to be taking over the defense duty of the third base. Ruby Rock, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, a very normal map, as in, like, it doesn't have a whole lot of tricks up its sleeve. Those maps are important. Easy surround over here, too. Yeah, honestly, this early game here from Classic is not great. And this is where, in the past, a follow-up attack from Zerg would be extremely dangerous. Like, you could make queens, march them to the other side of the map, and, I don't know, get some damage done, right? Then that's something that was really difficult to pull off on the previous patch. I wonder if those punishment strategies for Zerg are once more going to be a possibility. Looks like we will still be going for a 4th base. There used to be a meta where, as soon as Protoss did not have a great early game, Zerg would instantly be marching with the ladies. Obviously, queens are now 175 minerals, rather than 150. Which does make all of that a little bit weaker, and then obviously the energy recharge changes. They kind of changed that too. We have the Templar Archives right now on the back of this, though, together with, indeed, the Blink, and then also +1 ground attacks here for Classic. Who's going to begin to dance. Now, he's anticipating the 4th to come up over here. No scouting from him. A little unlucky. Probably should have checked with one of the oracles. Making the assumption is pretty much always a bad idea. Because now suddenly, this very Max Packs-esque push, right, where you attack before Blink is even done, has been massively delayed. I think he could have actually maybe killed the 4th base, but it'll be far harder to pull off right now. There is a Roach Warren, but not a single Roach has been made. Instead, Reynor has gone straight into Mass Zergling, and now also those Hydralisks. Hydras with speed are honestly going to be quite dangerous. Creep Tumor does go down. Stasis Wards have been reduced as well in duration. Losing the Stalkers would be a massive problem. No +1 melee, though, on these links. One of the Oracles does go down. One of the Adepts falls. A lot of Zerglings are also dying in the process. Hydralisks are going to be here, though, in just a moment. And Classic is finding himself cornered. Decides to recall out. I am not really liking this movement here from Protoss very much. Classic, very much so. Someone who is the polar opposite of Hero. I feel like Hero is super good with new patches. Classic is a little bit more of a slow grind kind of player who needs to, like, figure out all of the details of the maps and figure out the best way to play and then grind it out a bunch, and then eventually he's an absolute monster. Now, he does have Storm done, but he doesn't have a whole lot of energy. Yeah, there's one Storm. I think there's maybe energy for one more, but this Hydra group is just going to hit like an absolute truck. Easy walk out of those Storms as well, of course, now. Keep in mind, DPS of Storm is lower. Damage over time is technically higher, but yeah, no, this is game over. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on Throne of the Dunes. Another map that I have not seen a game on just yet. At least I don't think so. Listen, Al-Gaib! This is the first thing that goes through my head now. As soon as, like, anybody even uses the word June, I just... Shai-Hulud! I mean, he could be here somewhere. Maybe he can tunnel through the map. I would kind of like it. Have some neutral enemies out on the map as well. Maybe that is a thing we should take from League, you know? We just put, like, some neutral creeps out there for extra buffs. Or maybe, like, that dragon thing, whatever it's called, where you kill it and you get, like, an extra boost for the team. I've always liked the idea. But apparently StarCraft players on the whole do not. Anyways, Oracle opener here yet again. I always get League of Legends and Dota 2 mixed up in my head. I played quite a bit of Dota 1 back in the day. That just shows you how old I am. I did play a little bit of League as well. But you know what? The worst thing about League of Legends, right? It's really fun to play with friends, I will admit. But the worst thing about League of Legends, and any MOBA for that matter, is other people. It's terrible. Terrible. Having allies? Ugh. Adept Shade by over here. Decent bit of damage done. What about the Oracle that's going to be following this? Trying its best. No Spore this time around, but... no. dangerous. Classic really playing with fire so far. All those oracles. I have this problem with every team game, for what it's worth. You know, you always have that one guy on the team who's just like straight up salty right from the very start. Then you have the other guy on the team that's like not taking it nearly as seriously as I am. Like, bro, you're never gonna be a pro gamer anyway, so like, why try, you know? Then there's one dude that's like AFK for half the match. And, you know, I'm not made for the lifestyle, okay? I feel like I can... I feel like I've become mostly salt-proof playing StarCraft 2. But that's also because, you know, I can play for my own, right? Like, I don't have... If I don't want to play too tryhard, I don't need to play too tryhard. And it's all up to my... But when you're playing in an all-random team... Oh, look at this. There's a bunch of guys. Anyways, when you're playing in an all-random team, it's the absolute worst. So far, 5 drones have died. It is triple Oracle this time around. Stasis Ward has also been nerfed a little bit. The duration is now only 90 seconds on Stasis Ward. It used to be like, what is it, 170 seconds, I think is what it was, which is kind of insane. You now have to think about where you're going to be, and maybe more importantly, when you're going to be placing down those wards. Storm yet again. Lair coming up. Pretty late Lair, all things considered. Double expansion on the back of this as well. Gases are going to get saturated here for Reynor, who can now, decide what he wants to go for. So this is a different start off here for the Italian Zerg. Opting to go for a much quicker +1 melee. Okay, no Roach Warren, but instead we go Baneling Nest. All of this, though, is quite late. Whereas on the other side of the map, the Storm is really quick. This is what you normally do against, say, for example, a Terran player. I wonder if Classic is going to go for, like, some sort of Storm drops, or... No, we don't even have a Robo facility yet. So why do we need this so early? He's making a wall off over here on top of the high ground. I'm not sure why we get Stormed this quick. The problem now, right, with getting Stormed this early on is that he can't really go for any form of aggression at all. I don't think so. Stalkers, I mean, they may have Blink, but there's like 3 of them. Yeah, he's been investing a whole lot of, well, his resources into these lads. But it's going to create a very passive game here for Classic, who's not really setting himself up for any follow-up pushing right now until probably several minutes from here. Really just rushing out High Templar. Okay. And that means that Reynor gets to do whatever he likes. Already, he's read the situation about as good as he could have. He's already all the way up to 89 drones. It's going to be Hydraling Bane. I guess if he wants to go for a big push, it'll be a much larger one than from the previous match. Oh, second Stargate already. Really? Second Stargate to get... We're basically going straight Skytles here. No Fleet Beacon, though, which is a little odd. Fleet Beacon's 300, 200. So he does have the resources for it, pretty much. What is the second Stargate for if we're not going to go Fleet Beacon? Anyhow, Reynor has been massing Hydras. He's got Baneling speed done. He's going for an attack right now. Yep. And then all of these Zerglings are going to get turned into Banelings. And it'll come down, I guess, to the Storms to see if it'll be worthwhile. Substatic defense over at the 3rd. Actually, sorry, 4th. Here go the Banes. Awkwardly. Ay, dude, those storms are insane. He's even walking into it himself a little bit, surprised by how long it's lasting. Here are the Queens showing up too, but this has been a really good start of an engagement here for Protoss. Storm just lasts forever now, man. All right, let's see. Look how long. think there's enough Zerg. What in the world? Classic has had like 7 units in total. Now, lucky for him, 6 of those units were High Templar. It felt like that Protoss army was pathetic in comparison to that of the Zerg. Still, though, he's not out of the woods just yet. Reynor has decided that he's gonna solve this problem with more Banelings. Well, Classic also knows how to solve the problem with more Storms. Wow, that was surprisingly effective. Look at this, atrocious trades here for the Zerg so far. The straight up resources lost is insane. Okay, I was being critical of Classic's, well, very passive start, where he got Blink and then didn't really do anything with it. Got High Templar really quickly, but didn't really do anything with them either. I guess one thing that he did do with them, though, is just accumulate energy for more Storm. Carrier's coming up right now on the back of this. I think you go Mama Ship as well. I think it's a no-brainer here. He's turtling up on 4 bases. This is an insane army already for Classic right now. I can't get over how little he lost. Like, he lost a few Stalkers, but I think the majority of them died to the Zergling push before that big attack. 1 Archon. Basically, he lost a handful of Zealots, 1 Archon, and then 2 High Templar. That's it. Reynor's feeling compelled now to go into a Lurker Den. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to have something to try and break this Protoss base. And with this much static defense, it's gonna be difficult to do it with any other tool for the job. I guess maybe Brute Lords now are a viable choice, but obviously, well, Lurkers can go into Nidus networks and all that, which is very handy. Okay. Well, at the very least, that proves the theory here for Reynor, right? Reynor thought, okay, if I just go 90 drones, mass economy as quickly as possible, and then pure High Rolling Bane, surely Protoss is just gonna roll over and die. Clearly, that's not the case. I don't believe we're gonna be seeing a strategy like that again. Maybe also due, though, to just the strategy of choice here from Classic, right? Really, with the super quick Storm. Just anticipating that movement. There's Mama coming up. Mama has a new warp-in location, or animation, rather. Look at this. You see how she has the... Zoom. Zoom. It's kind of beautiful. One of the things that got changed in the New Balance patch. There was a very long list of little fixes alongside it, and I quite like it. Looks pretty. Just like Mama. Mama looks pretty too. She'll be here in a moment. Mama did have a bit of a nerf as the Banelings are rolling in through every angle possible. Is there enough for the Zerg to just straight up overwhelm this? Man, the Storms last so long! Holy crap, I can't get over how long those Hydras tried their best. Reynor came in from a freaking, I don't know, like 360-degree angle. What's better than a concave? A circle. Still, those Hydras really didn't stand a chance. Oracle gets YOLO'd into a Spore Crawler. You'll love to see that. But this is clearly not the unit composition that Reynor is looking for. Honestly, at this rate, I think Classic can just start pushing more and more, and it'll be very difficult for the Zerg to get the job done. Now, Microbial Shroud, I really do like the idea. But Microbial Shroud is different than it is against Terran, right? Against Protoss, it's very much so a, okay, just storm right over here. Like, say you throw down Microbial Shroud right over here, you just blanket the Microbial Shroud with Storm. It's basically a giant arrow to indicate where you should probably be storming. +3 missile. Adrenal glands. All of it is coming up. So, Microbial Shroud, it reduces damage taken from air and from ranged, not from spells. Ultra Cavern, though, could be used against it, especially if Protoss doesn't have a ton of Immortals. Now, currently, there's 2 of them in the mix. Double Robo, though, so Classic could pop about pretty quickly. At this point, Classic is chilling. Classic can do whatever he likes. Huge Zergling Baneling run-by. Could be the beginning of something nice. But Classic has got so many bases. He's got a Prism that just died to a Spore Crawler, fair enough. But his army is massive, his upgrades are great. Can't really criticize Classic for much in this particular game. Little micro slip-ups here and there. I didn't like the Oracle movement very much. I didn't really like the Prism movement just now very much, but these are just so difficult to pull off. There's a Microbial Shroud, though. New base in the far bottom right. Is that Shai Hulud? On the Throne of the Dunes map? Probably not, no. Microbial Shroud is making it difficult for Protoss to really just bulldozer their way straight through the map. Zergling run by trying its very best. Getting a good bit of damage done. But Reynor doesn't have a Spire. And he is sort of stuck on this unit composition that so far has been countered brilliantly. Oh, feedbacks as well. Say goodbye to your Microbial Shrouds. Already using it as a zoning tool rather than a damaging tool. I kind of like that. Dude, Classic is... I kind of feel like Classic is playing with like one hand off the keyboard. Taking like a leisurely stroll onto the creep. He is playing this as calmly as you possibly can. And Reynor... wow. Reynor taps out maxed in supply because he does not have the correct units to counter that Skytle's ball. And that means that this best of 3 series, it comes down to a map called Risen Memory. Okay. Risen Memory. No strong feelings from my side for Risen... Oh. There's 2 unbuildable bricks! Why are there 2? These, by the way, got introduced years and years and... Oh, there's only 1 on the other side! Wait a second. First time I see this map. Wait, am I blind? Is there a second one over here somewhere? No. If you're a StarCraft boomer, you're probably well familiar with why these exist at the bottom of every single ramp. But in case you have not been an absolute idiot like some of us, in case you have not been watching this game for 15 plus years, in case you've had a life before StarCraft existed, okay? There used to be strategies where, for example, Terrans would bunker rush the bottom of a ramp. So they would make one bunker over here and another bunker right over there. And you couldn't even leave your main base. I've even seen strategies where Terrans were like proxying it against Zerg, and they would make 2 barracks at the bottom of the ramp and then 2 bunkers at the top of the ramp. This over here being like the main base of the Zerg player. So they could like rally 2 barracks into 2 bunkers, and then it was kind of insane. So at some point, after that happened for some time, they added these unbuildable plates at the bottom of ramps. Obviously, it also helps out against, like, say, for example, cannon rushes, all the rest of it. It's just to make certain unstoppable cheeses stoppable. Now, honestly, at this point in time, maybe we should remove them again. It'd be kind of fun. There's going to be a map at some point in the future where, like, somebody forgets adding them, and it's going to take, like, 3 months before players realize, wait a second. It doesn't have unbuildable plates. And then those dirty strategies will come back again for like 3 weeks. But I highly doubt that this month is going to be that month. All right, Oracle opener yet again right here for our Protoss. You got to do what you got to do to win. There was a map actually a few years ago in the GSL Code S. Well, a few years ago. God, StarCraft's old. There was a map I don't remember the name of it. It was actually kind of sick. Barting had figured out, and he didn't like share this with anybody. He had figured out that you could block the opponent's main ramp with one pylon. That was like a weird thing where you could like plant the pylon, say right over here, and it was 100% walled off. Now somehow he had managed to keep this a secret for several weeks, and then he busted it out in an important televised match in the GSL Code S. I love stuff like that, you know? You have players that are gentlemen, where they're just chilling and they will share that information. Not parting. No. Look, it wasn't his problem. He's there to win, and he doesn't care. Now, the Oracles have done a little bit more damage this time around, and you can tell Classic has had a much better start. He hasn't lost anything up until this point. We're following it up with good old Glaive to Depths. Keep in mind, in the previous game, Reynor skipped the Roach Warren. Baneling Nest was at like 6 minutes. He did go +1 melee, but that's not going to finish up for a Glaive to Depth timing. So, complete polar opposite to what we saw in the previous match. Classic has decided to just play this, well, full timing attack style. So in the previous game, he did like the exact opposite of that, where he's like, yo, you're going to timing attack me, and I will blind counter... I will... try to... clown and counter in one word. Clounter. I would like to coin the term. Anyways, this time around, will Reynor be blind countering his opponent? That's the question. And looking at the current base layout, I think he's in a world of trouble. He now realizes that there's barely any probes for the third. Adepts are already ready to go across. They took the weird route here, but I guess it was just to dodge overlords. And now suddenly, Resonating Glaives is already done. It's a 40% attack speed improvement for those adepts. We have a couple of banelings, but that's really not going to be enough. Stasis Ward as well, just to be a nuisance. The drones need to run a little bit further. Adepts are shading backwards. He doesn't have a whole lot of vision here, but there's only 2 Banes. There's only 2 Banes. Yeah, Zerglings are just going to die. I kind of love the way that Classic is playing this series. Calm and collected. He's playing at a bit of a leisurely pace. It doesn't feel too intense. Who cares about the Oracles? He's strolling around with Protals, whereas Reynor is going full sweaty gamer. An average of 9 buttons a second so far in this particular match. But clearly, he did not pick the right strat. And honestly, this feels almost irrecoverable right now. It'll be very difficult to come back from a deficit like this. Now, he does defend it eventually. Partly due to the fact that Classic has stopped warping in more adepts. So, yeah, there will be a forced follow-up right here for Classic. Maybe Reynor has one shot, one opportunity. But it'll be difficult to win the game with it. You will try and just build up as many drones as possible. Classic following this up right now with Immortal Sentry. Sure. Why not? Honestly, the more I think about these patch changes, the more it feels like an anti-hero and like a pro-Classic type of patch. If you think of their playstyles, like at this point in time, Hero has been winning pretty much all the online tournaments over the last couple of weeks. But like I said, Classic a little bit more of a grinder. It'll take a while for him to really get the hang of this patch, and I feel like across the board, the changes are really good for him especially. The playstyle just really does, or at least maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, only time will tell, but I feel like the changes really do benefit his playstyle in particular. This will be a scary push. Now, did we get charged? No, we never got charged. That's a little funky. No charge, no blink. Where are we going, Classic? Classic is just walking around, man. Should we not be knocking down these rocks? No, we're taking... He just walked from here all the way over here, around this side, attack the rocks for a little bit, then around this. This is the least optimal way to get your army across, but does it matter if you have 11 sentries and force fields for days? Zergling Baneling run by is gonna have to get some damage done. Sometimes it's important to do a little bit of sightseeing. Classic, though, still with the correct minimap awareness, is just gonna pull the boys early. bring them all the way back to the safety of the natural. There's one sentry available here trying to force field itself. Third base is in some trouble though, so Classic does need to get a little bit of a move on. But this army is going to be really difficult to stop. Force field start off nice and early. We have force field upon force field upon force field. There are Ravagers for Biles. But he's got force fields for days, man. I think that is about the last of it. Yeah, now the Banelings are starting to break through some of this, and I wonder if maybe Classic has taken this game a little bit too leisurely. Well, more Zerg units are popping out of their cocoons. Reynor's economy is once more up to a reasonable standard. New adepts are getting over here, no shading forward, because we're taking it easy. I don't know why he didn't get charged, but it does not matter here in the end. Reynor cannot stop the flood. In a very weird way, it was the Zerg player that got zerged. Classic just swarmed with Protoss against Zerg. Man, he played some interesting styles here, right? Really just testing the waters and trying his best to come up with intelligent choices. It didn't really seem like a high-paced game there from Classic compared to what he is capable of and what we've seen him do against the likes of, for example, Serral on the previous patch, but he still honestly dominated. GG.